Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner, and with us we have Coach Mark. Hello, Coach Mark.
Oh, hello, Darcy. How you going?
Yeah, I'm going great. More importantly, how are you going? And to give you a heads up, we've got a whole bunch of questions about that very same subject, which is your marathon. So, firstly, yeah, how are you going? Because it was just last weekend. So, what is this?
Oh,
Day five of recovery or day four?
yeah, yes, it would be. Well, in fact, it would be day 6. It was on Saturday that I did it.
Okay,
So
okay, that's
best part of the week.
that's awesome. So,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm feeling
good
okay.
feeling.
Feeling okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I've been for a couple of little runs this week, and yeah, the natural muscle soreness the first few days, but I
Yeah.
just went with that and tried it out on a sort of a painful shuffle the first day and a much better, more of a run than a shuffle the next day. So yeah, it's all good, which is what you want, isn't it? You don't want to. It's nice to have that little memory of the event, but you don't want it to linger too long.
Yeah, yeah, I hear, I hear. Okay, well, so let's talk about the what and then the why, and then we've got a whole
Yeah,
bunch of questions, and we've reached out to our club, and some of the runners at our club have posted us questions today, or questions for me
yeah,
to ask you, and I'll mention who asked what question, first name only. So I'm a bit of a
yeah.
shout out to them. So the what, now correct me if I've got this wrong, but it's the Fault Line Ultra Marathon, which is here in Wellington, and there's a number of different distances. And some of the longer distances you can do as a team event. So tell us a little bit about the event your team did and a little bit about
Mm.
the leg your team did or that you
Yeah,
did for your team.
yeah, sure. Yes, so the whole event was 160k, 100 miles,
Yeah.
um, which is just staggering, to be
Yeah.
honest, and it
Yeah.
makes what I do really seem fairly sobering, to be honest. But huge respect to people that do that.
Oh,
So as well as being an individual event where I think 75 people took part in that, there was a team event split up into 4 people. So each person did roughly 40k, on average each.
yep.
So it was a funny sort of a relay. You didn't have to practice things like backing changes for this one.
Yeah. I don't
There's
imagine
nothing
a
like
batting
that.
change. It's too intense where you're smoking in and you say to the other person, because you think you're going to catch them, and you're like, God, get up to speed. I don't, am I right?
No one ran out
Yeah.
of their zone early. No.
I would be
So
doing
yeah,
it
so
though.
so
I'd be like, come on, get up to speed.
in
And they'll
fact,
be like,
thankfully
dude,
there
you're
was no.
running in at 5 kilometers an hour. What are you on about? Okay, so
I
tell us a
know.
little bit about your league and what you did.
Yeah, so my league was actually well, it was advertised as 44k.
Oh, here we go. You're going to
As
talk
it
about
turned
what we
out,
got to
it was
watch.
46k.
Yeah,
But who knows? I mean, that's GPS watches, isn't it? But
yeah.
which shows that one thing about you can't. You've got to be fairly flexible in these events.
Oh,
So
totally. Yeah.
what's that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. You never, I think that's something we all learn, right? You never look at the advertised distance and count down that distance on your watch because it's
yes,
always more. We can't run in a
yeah.
straight line. That's the thing, right?
No,
So, yeah.
very true.
Okay,
Very
so it's an
true.
ultra. It's longer than 42 kilometers, which is a bonus. 46
Yes.
puts it in an ultra, which is it ticks the box for you on that leg, which is fantastic. Yeah, so tell us about it then.
That's exactly right. So that's one of the reasons that got me excited about it is the fact that it was just marginally over a marathon, which qualified it as an ultra, which was a first for me in over 40 years of running. I'd never done an ultra. I've coached a number of people do ultras. I've never actually done one myself, so I'm very glad I've ticked that off. I'd studied it a lot in terms of helping other people. Now I can add a bit of personal experience to that as well. So it involved it involved 14k of flat and then massive hills. So it was 13 to 1400 meters of climbing the hill. And then quite a steep downhill and then flat to the finish for what I thought was about 3K was about 5K.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
at the finish. So it was something I knew going into it. What the challenge for me was, as you probably know, Darcy, I was out of running for really. I mean, I had quite a serious injury, inflamed bursa under my Achilles, and I wasn't able to run quite a while, and then I was able to run very slowly, but just for very short distances. And then bizarrely, which I've done before actually, I set as a goal to do an ultra. And I remember I did my first marathon a similar way. I had a similar type of injury, a different injury, and I couldn't run. And then I thought, I'm going to do my first marathon. There's nothing like a goal, to focus them on. And the ultra appeared to me because speed didn't matter. I knew I could run slowly, so that ticked. And all I needed to do was just keep going. It made it quite a simple thing, really.
Yeah.
And so it involved the flat and then big climbs, which is fine. I mean, you just got into a rhythm. I set a goal to walk pretty much all the uphills, because walking I'd go marginally slower than I'd run anyway.
Oh, there's not much difference. Yep. I walk a lot of my climbs because I find I don't lose not much speed, but what I save in terms of energy, it's like a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio, to be honest. If I run a hill, I feel 4 times more exhausted than if I'd walked it. So I get that. What time did you pick up the baton? So how long?
Yeah, so we didn't.
When did you get the baton, and when did you have to hand it over?
Yeah, so thankfully there was no baton. There was because imagine that. I thought we were thinking, oh, imagine you get to the finish.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to carry anything.
I sat down for like 30K ago and forgot to pick the baton up again. So no baton. We had chips on our shoes, so you just cross the mat. And the baton change was a big hug with the guy or woman. You were
nice sweaty hug to set you off. Then
you got it. Yeah. And then you got to say a brief chat, and they would generally be supporting you.
Yeah.
And then they ran off.
They'd be supporting you because I would be going, I don't want to do this, and they'll be like, you have to, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. You have to. All right. So 46
so
kilometers.
it was. What's that? Sorry, Darcy.
46 kilometers, and a lot of up and down, and I imagine the downhill would be so technical you can't smoke down it, and you need to protect your legs. No. The question I've got is, your 46 kilometers, what would you say would be the equivalent on the road, in terms of if it was flat and tarmac? What would you think would be the equivalent? Usually, and I want to see if I'm right, and don't let this sort of cloud your answer, but I almost think it's a multiplier of about 1.5. If you run, 10 kilometers in the forest, I think that's 15K at least on the flat, but what would you ran a very different terrain, it was even harder, so what would you say would be the multiplier for you? Your 46 Ks would be what on the flat?
Well it was about 6 hours of work, so I'd be thinking of a marathon 3 hours, around 3 hours and a bit probably nowadays. So you look at it that way, you're adding a fair bit on there, aren't you? So closer to 60K or
if you say 6 hours, and I would say minimum 6-minute Ks to protect yourself, right? On the flat. If you're running 6-minute Ks on the flat to protect yourself for 6 hours, then you're talking 10 kilometers an hour. You're talking a 60K race. So we'd be talking at least 60K. I'd say probably with the brutality of the climbs and everything like that, you're probably talking, I don't know, maybe you're 46 on hills, maybe 65, 70 on the flat.
Maybe.
Does that sound about right? I know we're guessing this sort of thing, but just to give those that are watching a bit of a flavour.
Funnily enough, although the hills sound like they make it more brutal. In a way, I actually found that made it a bit easier than running a marathon, because of the variety.
Oh, okay.
Your leg, the load on your legs just wasn't as bad, and that's why I've recovered quicker as well.
Yep.
Because in a marathon, you're kind of redlining it a little bit and pounding the whole way. Whereas this one, you had flat, and then you had a big uphill where you just sort of trundle along, and then
Yep.
you had a bit of
Okay.
flat again. So they're all little things, it all changed the stresses on the legs. By the end of it, your legs had worked in all of these facets, so that they were tired, whatever. But I found it actually made it a bit easier. Bearing in mind, my goal was more to last the distance and enjoy it, rather than get the absolute maximum out of myself in terms of the time I might do. So it was a slightly different way of approaching it as well. And I've done marathons that way as well, so it would probably compare a bit to that. I imagine. Yeah, I would actually, thinking about it.
I'm gosh, every time I ask one question, I write down another two with stuff you're talking about. So forgive me, because I don't mean to. I'll probably interrupt. I'm just so excited to hear about this sort of stuff. Okay, so I've got two quick questions for you. We'll do one at a time. But as I say, gosh, they're just blowing through now. Legs. So at what point? Oh, another question, and that's your training for it. Let's get to that in a second. First one, legs. When I think most people, if they experience what I experience on a long distance run, your legs, there comes a point where your legs are tired. And then there comes a point where even though your legs are tired, they just seem to keep going. They just find another sort of thing. You can't do what you're doing in the first, say, 15 or 20K of the run or something like that. They reach another sort of level where they can't get to that level, but they can just sort of keep grinding along and da-da-da. So if that means something, the question I've got for you is, about what kilometer mark did you feel that, where you're like, I'm no longer running, I'm now just sort of in survival mode. I'm still running, but I'm running in a very different way to just protect my legs, where before they felt fresh. Now I know that, I'm feeling it. What sort of kilometer mark did that sort of happen?
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly appreciate that happening. In terms of myself, I set it out as a 32K roughly mark, just a training run, look at the scenery, very, very much under control. And I'm out for an enjoyable day out. When I hit 32K, I was in racing mode. So I was never actually in that position where I felt I was surviving. In fact, my fastest Ks were actually my last 3 but 1. When I realized it was going to take longer than 44K, I eased off the gas a little bit just to get to the finish. But up to then, I was actually running. I was actually not surviving. I was trying to
awesome,
finish as fast as I could. I felt unhindered, because I'm more at home running on flattish road. So I felt like, well, great, I've got all this gnarly stuff out of the way. I can now go for it.
So to understand your mindset for the first 32K, are you saying, and tell me if I've got this wrong, are you saying for the first 32K, you did everything to keep yourself fresh, which might mean if someone passed you, you didn't even entertain the idea of just jumping on behind and following them? The first 32K was just the leisurely Sunday morning run sort of thing. You were doing it on Saturday, but that sort of attitude. Okay, gotcha. Well, that seems like it held you in good stead. How many stops did you do? The only reason why I would ever consider an ultra off-road is because I've seen some of the tents, some of the stops, and all the food there, and I love eating. An idea of eating in a race, and because you're running so slow, you can eat a lot and keep going. Would be the only reason why I get into an ultra. In fact, if I did that, they would increase the entry fee for me alone the next year, because I ate so much. They'd be like, we can't afford this guy to run. So tell us about the stops. How many did you have? What was your appetite like? How much did you eat? What was the food? What food did your body want to eat? So tell us about the stops.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually stop at all. there was so on my particular lap there was a thing called a hub, which was the one with all the big buffet of food.
A hub. Okay.
Yeah, and then they had other ones that were just aid stations, and the aid stations were just water and electrolyte drink. But that was all there was.
I just want to hear about pubs.
Yeah, yeah. So it was very tempting. I actually came into the first hub, and I had supporters there. After 14K, so I hadn't actually been going that long, and I was actually looking forward. I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to grab. There's all sorts of advertised stuff that was there. I thought, oh, that'll be great. I'll try that. But so I came in there, and then they said, oh, the hub. If you want to go to the food and everything, that's further down that track. Well, if you want to carry on, you just nip up this other track.
That's
so
cool.
I was like, oh, so now I've got this kind of thing. If I want food, I've got to go further.
Like extra distance. That's mean.
Yes. So,
that's mean, because no runner wants to run anything. We love running, but we don't want to run
doing 100 miles.
Oh.
No, because you do you could change your socks and have a massage, and you know what I mean. Yeah, it's more of a thing. But I was thinking, well, 6 hours, I've got enough food on me and food that I tried in training that worked for me. I don't really need any of the other stuff. And I was just, in fact, the whole rest of the way, I was looking forward to the end of my lap where I just pigged out. That was part of the carrot for me, that I could eat what I wanted when I finished.
So was there a hub at the finish line, or did you carry a lot of food with you and you just ate that food when you'd finished your leg?
Yeah. Now there was a hub at the finish line.
Oh, yeah, that's what I want.
With all that food that I bypassed at 14K, the next hub for me was the finish line.
Okay.
So yeah. So that for me was enough. I felt I've got enough food, I've got enough water, I've got food that I know I can stomach. I don't need to go to the hub. So it was I had a bit of a decision to make there, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll just plug on, and that worked well.
So how much food did you carry, and what did you carry?
I'm quite a simple guy, really. I don't need a lot of variety. Again, if I was out there for 24 hours, that would change things. Because you do need that just as a mental thing. Plus, you can't eat this, 3 foods all day, can you? So all I had, I did this in training, and I found it worked for me. I had gels, which don't work for everyone, but they work for me. I had fruit sticks that you stick in kids' lunches, and I had pretzels.
Okay.
And that's what. With the salt, exactly. Yeah, carbs and salt. So when my leg started, I started my stopwatch, and I started my a recurring timer of 30 minutes, and then I turned my stopwatch onto just the time, so I wasn't looking at how long I'd been going, because it wasn't important, because I knew where I had to get to.
Yep.
And then just use the recurring timer. When every 30 minutes, and 30 minutes I would have water, and I'd have alternate either a gel, or I'd have a fruit stick and 8 pretzels. So both of those, so the gel's about 25 grams of carbs, the pretzels and the fruit stick was about 25 grams of carbs, plus salt. And that just worked well. And yeah, I just and that was great. I found like I had enough fuel because I was going strong at the end, and it also mentally I could split the whole thing into 30-minute chunks. So I'd go, okay, I'm going to the next 30 minutes. When my alarm goes off, and I'll have I look forward to some pretzels and a fruit stick, which shows how you look forward to the smallest things, don't you?
Whatever
that
it takes to block it up.
Yeah,
Time change it up. sometimes when I go out for a long forest run, I say long, not compared to you, coach, because you send me out on them, and some of them, 2 hours, 2.5. So that's what I'm calling long, but nothing compared to that. Sometimes my body tends to just, it takes food in, and it's fantastic in terms of it feels good, doesn't want anything to come out. So I'll barely even pee, but I'm still hydrated. And some other days, my body's like, it just gets bored and it wants to play with me and it wants to pee every 20 minutes. I'm like, what's going on here? And sometimes, as runners know, sometimes you're like, your body's sending you another signal. So what did your body do during those 6 hours? Did it feel like, and it would be different every time you ran it, sort of thing, but yeah, were there any sort of any issues or anything you learned, say from hour 3 to 6, where your body was reacting a little bit differently, or any surprises with that or anything?
Not really. I did stop to pee twice, just in the bushes. So, which that was fine. Whether I could have done anything that would have prevented that, it's hard to say, because I did the whole thing and I didn't need to go for quite a while. But it's pretty hard to go 6 hours without.
Oh, totally. I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And so nothing there. All the food went well. The body seemed to react. I never went through a period where I thought, I've got gut problems.
Yeah.
I was careful to eat when I was walking. So say my alarm went off and I was on a flatter or a downhilly, but and I could see there was an uphill bit coming, I would say, well, I'll wait till the uphill.
Nice. Yeah, of course.
I'll have it then while I'm walking, rather than waste the bit where I can run by walking. So I was quite vigilant of making sure I got in the food, rather than I've got to shovel this in and keep moving quick. I felt like I might strike problems then.
Yeah, there's all sorts of issues with that.
I found that 7 gulps of water was 7 sucks of my Camelback. I'd tried this out where I sucked 7 things and spat it into a measuring thing in the kitchen, and I thought, that was about a bit over 150 mils. That's good. So I, as long as I did 7 things every 30, I knew I was getting the right amount. And again, I tried that in training, so that had worked. That had worked for me, which is the crucial thing.
All right, so let's talk about training. So you have talked about your battles with injuries. You knew you could run slow. So I suppose the question I've got with your training is, what did you do for distance training, and what was your single longest run as preparation? Was the terrain the same? And how far out from the race did you do that single longest run? So give us a flavor about the training, and just a flavor, and talk about the longest run.
Yeah. Well, when I effectively started training for it 16 weeks out. Although up to that point I'd got up to an hour. I could run for an hour, but I couldn't run hills. So that was a bit of a problem. I had quite a bridge to gap to bridge there.
Yeah, you did.
To getting to 6 hours with hills. So I mapped out a program, and I thought, well, I've got the time to build up the long run as long as I go slow. And I'm going to be walking up hills in the event, so I can just walk up hills in training. I don't need for the event to be really good at running up hills. So I was solely thinking about the event. The other thing I thought was I don't need to be fast, so I don't need to do any speed work.
Yep.
So because it's all a case of balance, I knew it was going to be quite a load that I'd be increasing the kilometres. So I didn't do any speed work apart from the odd park run, where I'd do it as a tempo run and no quicker, just to get my body used to sort of ticking along at a slightly uncomfortable effort. So I was minimising any risk there. And every I do a cycle of 4 weeks. So I do 1 week
I'd do an hour or so. This built up. Another week I'd do say 2 to 3 hours, and then the third week I'd do 2 big runs over the weekend to mimic the stresses of being on my feet, moving forward for a long period of time, without causing me too much stress that I wouldn't be able to recover to keep the training going, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So that built up. My longest one, I estimated it would take me around about 6 hours. So that's what I was thinking. Well, I need to be able to stay on my feet and move forward for 6 hours. So built it up to 4 weeks out. I went out on the Saturday and I put all the gear and all the gear that you had to carry in the event. Wore all the gear that I was going to wear in the event. So everything was being trialled out. I was used to the weight. I had all the fuel that I was going to take. I was doing my, my recurring time and all that sort of stuff. And I did 4 hours on the Saturday, and that was again up big hills. But they were walking, up the hills. But then I had running at the hills, and then I finished on the flat. So, which was quite crucial because it got me trained, and also got an idea of have I got enough strength left at the end to kind of truck along and maintain, or has that totally cooked me? And then do I need to revisit something in terms of fueling or whatever? So I did that on the Saturday, and then I'd get home, refuel, etc., have a night's sleep, get up in the morning, and I did 2 hours. So the start of the 2 hours, again, I put all the same gear on, and the 2 hour run was more flat. So it was really, I've got that 4 hours in my legs. I can feel it at the start of it. And I'm getting all that feeling that I'll probably have after a few hours, in the fault line. But I've just then got to truck along into it, and that's what I did. And so I did 2 hours there, and felt better as I went, which was a huge confidence booster for me. So 4 weeks out, I finished that, and I thought, yeah, I'm confident now. I'll be able to make the distance on the day as long as I pace it or fuel it sensibly. I think I had it honed down, the gear I was taking, the gear I was wearing, the pace that I needed to go at. Again, was quite conservative, but I thought I'm pretty confident I'll be able to do it now. And then I just tapered down. I actually had a brief thing of really having a crack at a 5K or something, because I thought, I actually feel really fit now. But I resisted that, just keeping my eye on the bigger goal, thinking I'd be so annoyed if I did that and tweaked something, because I hadn't actually done any speed work. So I resisted that, and just counted it down till the day.
So you definitely didn't take the approach of going with your 800-meter history. This is just 60 800-meter races back to back. That's all right.
Yes.
Okay, I've got some questions from some of the crew. So, yeah, look, I'll make this short fire. So if you want, just take your second stance, all of them, but let's go through them. So, and some of them I think we've already answered. So from Bruce, he was asking, what advice do you have for pacing on the long event? And I think you talked about that with the 32 Ks, which is your first 2/3, where you just were like, do nothing, just run, but nothing else except for running as easy as possible. Anything else you want to add to that, or was that basically it?
Yep. So it's all about your training as well, and this is the same for when I've done a marathon way back in the past. That you need to hone down what a comfortable pace is for you, because it has to be aerobic for a start. 46K or whatever you're doing, it has to be aerobic. It can't be anaerobic at all. So that's what you go on. And when it's undulating, different terrain, obviously just going on your kilometer pace
won't work because that'll vary so often. But what can be constant is your breathing. So really become familiar with the effort that's required. Breathing is comfortable, always thinking. So that dictates, I've got a hill. If I run up this hill, my breathing's going to go up. I'm going to rasping breathe. That's not good. I'll walk up the hill. That's it.
Yeah,
Or if it's a slight rise, you can run up it. But obviously, again, you're thinking about your breathing. When you get to 10K to go, for me, it was 12K to go because most of it was downhill. So I sort of factored that in. You can then it'll hold out all the stops. Whatever's left, you can actually start inching into anaerobic if you've got it in your legs. Yep. But if you've got that effort honed in from training, and as I said, being vigilant of that, but otherwise don't get competitive at all. It'll stop you getting emotional because that's what happens. Because it's great, everyone's like, your guy comes in and goes, all right, and everyone slaps you on the back and you're off. For me, it was flat for 14K. I could have, because I was feeling I could have blasted that, got to 14K and go, wow, that was a good 14K time. Go, oh, hang on, I've got 4K of uphill climbing now. Yep. My legs are gone. So that's what it is anyway. Hope that helps.
Perfect. All right, 2 other questions. Okay, and this question is from Michelle. How did you estimate your fuel and liquid consumption? So you talked about your 7 sips on your Camelback or equivalent was about 150 mils. So yeah, how often were you taking in those 150 mils? What did you calculate you needed over that whole 6 hours without dehydrating and without drowning? So where was that sweet spot? What did you calculate for yourself in the middle?
Yes. Well, I took 2 liters with me, so I worked out 6 hours, 2 liters. What's that?
About like 12 liters the whole thing. Are you saying 2 liters per hour?
No, 2 liters total I took. So
okay.
So yeah. So I worked out that would work out as around about 150, a bit more every half hour. So about 300 mils. Yeah, that'd be right, wouldn't it? So yep. Yeah, so about a litre every 3 hours. Yeah, that would be right. And yeah. Just trying to work out maths this hour of the day, and I had as a fallback. There was a final drink station with 5K to go. So if I found my Camelback had run dry and I needed some more, that was there. So I knew that was there as a stopgap. So I trialed that, and that worked with my gels. And as I said, I set a recurring timer, so that was every half an hour. And I just went from there. So I had 7 sips every half hour, and either a gel or fruit stick and pretzels. I just alternated that. 6 hours was long enough to just have those 3 basic things.
Yep.
I had a big banana. It was actually just before my guy came in. I had a banana, so that put me and quite a decent amount of water. Actually, I had about 300-400 mils of water just before he came in. So that put me ahead of the game, and then went from there.
So that doesn't sound like a lot of water. I mean, what I said was clearly ridiculous. I don't know. I just did the maths and came out with 12 liters. Ridiculous. I didn't even think that through. But the question I've got is, it sounds like you got by on about 2.5 liters over those 6 hours. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could have. As I say, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 water stations on the way, so I had them if I needed them. But I'd gone out in similar weather in training, and that ratio had worked well
Okay.
for me. So
Oh.
it was something I tried. So yeah, so I wasn't just hope this is enough.
Yep.
And yeah, so I had opportunities to top that up if I needed to.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to guess how much I'd go through, but I'm not even going to guess because I'm not going to do it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, question from Darren. So he just wants to know how you took care of your body. For anyone who's say like, struggling to do, got an injury like you had, or is struggling to do 3 times a week because their body's feeling beaten up and stuff. What is it that you did that you thought you did particularly well that took care of your body while you were increasing the mileage in your training? Was anything there that you think other people could adopt or be cognizant of as they try and take care of their bodies and take in the mileage?
Yep. Well, I setting a plan out to start with was crucial, really, because I set out a plan when I was thinking rationally and laying everything ahead of me. Rather than I'm feeling good this week, I reckon I could add this in next week, as we all do. So as I said, I knew what I needed to do for the event, and it didn't involve speed. It involved walking uphill, so that made it simpler. I was very careful with my recovery days, so I didn't do a lot of effort sort of around the big days, the big run. I was running 5 days a week, and then had another day I did instead of an easy run, an easy 30-minute run, I did a 30-minute aqua jog. That I found that really helped. So it was the same sort of effort as an easy run, but I was sparing my legs, and they actually felt better after it than they did, beforehand. So that was a key thing for me.
Do the aqua jogs just where you put that foam belt around your waist, jump in the pool, and just do the jogging motion, or is there something else?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay. Yep. I've had that as part of my training actually for years as a regular thing. I've found it actually has helped my keep a finishing kick, believe it or not, because you're basically running with a sprinting action with your arms against a slight resistance the whole time. So, but crucially, it spares your legs. It's like massaging your legs while running. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it on my list of things I need to, that I want to try, but it's been on my list for like 1.5 years now. So, are you telling me just get down and jump into the local pool and just do it? Won't look back, sort of thing.
Yeah. Just be really really cognizant of your form. It's one for running form. You see people doing, and they do more like a doggy paddle, so they're bending forward and cupping the arms and going like that. You want to think of it really as a workout for above the waist. So staying really tall and really focus on your arm movement. It's a bit like doing continuous with small dumbbells, doing a running movement with small dumbbells. So if you imagine that, and then the legs just look after themselves. But it's pretty boring. But half an hour, I find I would do that every Monday after my long run. So I kind of look forward to it at the last couple of K of my long run. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I hop in the water and go,
Okay, all right.
The legs just feel great.
All right, yeah. Here we go.
Good as an option.
Yeah, I need to give it a go and check it out. Okay, because I do hear a lot of good things about it. So, okay.
But in answer to Darren, it's not easy.
Oh, yes.
It's certainly. It's certainly not easy keeping your body going. I've been running. I've been running for over 40 years. Really, I joined a Harrier Club 1981, and haven't really stopped since then. So it's I'm like the old car at the back of the that's been round the clock a few times. So it's not easy, and especially I'm
more of a natural fast twitch muscle fiber guy. I preferred to run sort of under five, less than 5 minutes in a race, and preferably less than 2 minutes. So, but in a way that new challenges, that aren't necessarily things that you're good at. It's amazing how they can freshen things up a bit for you, and get the motivation going again. That was the case for me anyway.
Did you have a pacer with you at any stage? And if you did, how was the pacer helpful? And if you didn't, did you feel like you missed the pacer, or was it just nice to do your own thing?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a pacer. I did. In fact, I kind of enjoyed just being by myself and doing my own thing, actually, rather than locking into anyone else's pace. I did see a few people who were doing the 100-miler, and that was just incredible. So they'd already done 36k before I started, and they were carrying on for another 80k when I finished. And it was just really interesting viewing them, and I chatted to some of them as well. And you could almost sum them up as in a general way. They were very kind of calm, but very organized. Like, they knew what was ahead of them, and nothing seemed to be kind of wasted. They had their poles on them. They were eating, drinking really, really vigilantly, walking up hills. They weren't doing anything silly. So that was really interesting. Yeah. So I didn't need a pacer. That they in fact pretty much all had pacers near the end, largely for safety, because by that point there's the risk that they might stray off the course or fall.
That makes sense.
And also they just calculating things, in terms of when they're going to eat, drink, how far to go. The mind's a bit hazy. It's really the pacer. A good pacer just takes over all that and just does it all for them, and just says, all you need to do is follow me. As long as the pacer is constantly aware of where the person is, especially at night, that they're not trucking along, then look back and realize they've lost their runner. So
that makes a lot of sense. Did you use poles at all?
No, I didn't. No, but I can see the value of them on the downhill, especially that my legs. I'm not a good downhill runner anyway. I just don't do a lot of it. And I found that my quads really noticed that at the end, and I could see how poles would just take the pressure off them. And I saw again people who had poles going the downhill. They just looked a lot happier. Than I was. So I mean, that's something. If I was really doing it again and taking it seriously, I would really go out and focus on downhill running for that event. Because there was a lot of downhill. Because I mean, there's 1,300 to 1,400 meters of climbing, so there's about that, and downhill, because it finishes in Pororua, which is pretty close to the sea, isn't it? So it's pretty about the same.
Okay, and that brings me to my last question, and this is funny, right? You ask someone as soon as they cross the finish line, and 99% of people, 99% of the time would say never again. And a couple of days later, you go, because you think of something that makes you want to get better for next time. So now, considering I think you said it was day 6. The question is, for day 6, would you do it again? Or is it one and done? Oh no, have we got a freeze? We've got a freeze. I've been accused of freezing up because I sit so still at times. Right, let's see if Mark comes back. What do we got?
You're right there. You just froze there. Did I freeze as well?
Yeah, hey, look, no problems. I'd like to think I've kept everyone entertained and it was real short. So yeah, would you do it again? And where you got
Yeah.
to was
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's probably my answer.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, not in a hurry, and not because I didn't enjoy it, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But for me, the aim really of this event was as a goal to get me motivated to get back running and get me fit again.
Yeah.
And it's achieved that. So I feel it's kind of a sense of relief I've got through it.
Yeah,
unscathed.
totally. Get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not my natural thing. I'm really glad I did it, and it's given me a new insight into coaching others.
Yep.
And I say I've coached a number of people to do these events, so I'm glad I can at least have a bit of experience myself for what they're going through. But not in the hope. But look, you never say never, eh? I mean, it's just it was a wonderful event, and everyone involved in it's just so encouraging. It's quite different than, when I'm used to racing on the track, where it's a bit more cutthroat. There's none of that. People come past you, but they come past with an encouraging word and a smile and ask if you need anything.
Yep.
You don't get that in a 1,500 meters on the track there.
No, you don't. it's that lack of offering stuff. Okay, all right. So what's next then? This weekend, we're recording this on a Friday. So what are you going to do Saturday and Sunday for running? Just, simply what's next? Is it just a park run, or are you taking it easy this weekend, or what's the story?
Well, this weekend it's just gradually increasing the running again. So I did 30 minutes today. I'll do similar tomorrow, and Sunday I'll do maybe 40-45 minutes. Yep. Which will be great, and then I'll be able to start next week, afresh and look for fresh goals. It's a case of I've got through the event. I now want to my number one goal now is to recover from it. Yep. Before I can move forward. So that's my goal. Did you want feedback on goals? Did you want people to put comments below on what you should do next? And you're going to get some ridiculous comments. That could be a bit dangerous. It'd be very actually, let's do that. As long as I'm not held to them. What do you think Coach Mark should do next over the next year? Pop it in the comments below. Just anything goes. That's cool. If you want to reach out to Coach Mark, his details are in the show notes. Coach Mark, that has been a blast. I really enjoyed finding out about an event that I'm never going to do. So thank you so much for that. I didn't convince you. You did convince me. No, the hub thing, that honestly, I like eating food, and could I run 30 kilometers to eat a lot of food? If the hub's at the halfway mark or something like that, 20. Yeah, I probably could. So I like the idea, like you have now, of running an ultra marathon off-road. So 46 kilometers on stuff like this. Though I do tend to get a bit moody on downhills if I can't run them properly, and it sounds like there's a bit of that. I don't know. But it's not about what I'm planning. It's about the fact that you've accomplished this. You've done it, and it was huge. And a lot of us admire you for that effort, and your teammates that also did their legs, and those crazy people that, teams of two that doing about 80K each, and then those that do the 100K, and those that do the 100-mile, that just insane. Can't even comprehend that. So yeah, just amazing. Thank you for sharing your story, Coach Mark, and your insights and all the funny bits. It was a real blast actually catching up and talking about this. So yeah, thanks a lot. Are there any last words you want to share with the crew if someone is thinking about it? Oh no, by all means. As I always say to people, don't think, can I do the event? Say, can I do the training? If you can do the training, you can do the event. No, I like that. That's a really clever way of thinking about it. Yeah. Coach Mark, you have a fantastic restful weekend with your 30-minute, sounds like it's still a recovery sort of jog.
and we'll catch up with you soon. And again, we'll flick back to unless yeah, if anyone wants me to interview Coach Mark on anything else, again, put it in the comments below. But yeah, otherwise we'll get back to some more coaching tips. It just keeps coming. If you want to stay in the loop, you know what to do. Just hit subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's and you've been able to watch this feature length movie, which you know, Netflix are going to want to pump up soon. I'll just copy paste, send it to them. Easy. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm suffering from oxygen deprivation. Coach Mark, have a fantastic weekend. To everybody else, thank you for making it to the end. Take care.
Cheers, Daz. Bye.